just give us the slopes. It says from the given slopes, state whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we don't have any picture to look at here. You just have to look at the slope. Okay, so if you look at number 1, my slope is 5 and negative 1/5. Okay, in order for the lines to be parallel, they have to have the exact same slope. These are obviously not the same, so we know they're not parallel. Okay, in order for the lines to be perpendicular, the slopes need to be opposite signs, so one positive and one negative, which they are, so that checks out. Then they have to be reciprocals. Reciprocals mean, again, that you can flip the slopes upside down. So 5 is really the same as 5 over 1. If I flip 5 over 1, that's 1 over 5. So this matches, this works out, so these are perpendicular for number 1. Okay, they're opposite signs, one positive, one negative, and they're reciprocals. 5 over 1 flipped upside down is 1 over 5, so that makes them perpendicular. Number 2, these are the exact same slopes. 2 over 7, 2 over 7, they're both positive, they are exactly the same, so this line, these two lines would be parallel to each other. Number 3, okay, these are the same numbers, 6 and 6, but this one is negative. This one is positive. So they're not exactly the same, and they're not reciprocals, so this is neither. Okay, they're not the same because one's positive and one's negative, so they can't be parallel. They do have opposite signs, but they're not reciprocal, so they can't be perpendicular. So you just have to put neither. Alright, let's look at number 4. Alright, so we have 3 over 7 and we have negative 7 over 3. So they're not the exact same number. Okay, one's positive, one's negative. They're not the same number at all, so clearly they're not parallel lines. So you can rule that out automatically. Now it's either perpendicular or neither. Perpendicular lines have one slope is positive, one slope is negative. This slope is positive, this slope is negative, so that works out. And then they're reciprocals. This is 3 over 7. If you flip that upside down, this is 7 over 3. That makes them perpendicular. Okay, if you go back and look at the definition of perpendicular, it also said you could multiply them to equal negative 1, and if you look, that would work out. Okay, if you multiply the top, 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. 7 times 3 on the bottom is 21. Negative 21 over 21 is negative 1. So that rule also works. Okay, you can use the opposite signs, reciprocal, or you can use the multiplying to get a negative 1. They mean the same thing. Okay, but just by looking at these, I know that it's perpendicular lines because one's positive, one's negative. 3 over 7 is the reciprocal of 7 over 3. Okay? Number 5, we have 1 over 2, and we have negative 2. Okay, they're not parallel. That's what you need to rule out automatically. Okay, parallel lines are super easy to see because they look exactly the same. Okay, so we need to check perpendicular. Perpendicular means you have to have one positive and one negative, which we do. Okay, it also means they have to be reciprocals. 1 over 2, if I flip that upside down, is 2 over 1. Well, this is really 2 over 1. Any number can be written as a fraction by putting it over 1. So 1 over 2 is the same as 2 over 1. One's positive and one's negative. So these are also perpendicular lines. Okay? Just because one of the slopes is a whole number doesn't necessarily mean they're not perpendicular. You have to check. You can make that whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay? The last example, number 6, we have 2/3 and 3 over 2. Okay? So in order for this to be parallel, they have to be exactly the same, and they're not. So it's not parallel. In order for them to be perpendicular, okay, one has to be positive, one has to be negative, and they're not. They're both positive. They are reciprocals. 2/3, if I flip it upside down, it is 3/2, but since they're both positive numbers, then it doesn't meet both criteria to be perpendicular. So this is a neither. Okay, it has to be opposite signs and reciprocals. Okay, since it doesn't meet both of those things, you have to say neither. Okay?